Hi everybody, Ken Krogh here. Really excited to be here with this great conference, Digital Sales Engine. Jamie Shanks, thank you for inviting me. It's good to be part of this. I'm really excited about this new content we've been trying to get ready for you guys. I just got back from another conference with brand new content down in Las Vegas, so I'm catching up a little bit here. But the topic today is called Manualytics, how to build your own prospect scoring and cadence strategy. So let's jump right in. I wanted to catch up a little bit on the, let's see, we're getting slides going here. There we go. All right, advance. Okay, great. Okay, so let me catch you up. I've been out of the saddle a little bit for a while. You've probably seen my writing and everything has really slowed down. I used to do an article every week or two on Forbes and my own blog, and it's really slowed down. I've been learning to write again, you guys, learning to even speak again after a pretty massive car accident, actually a truck accident, and I had the smaller truck. And so I've been recuperating, coming along, but during that time, I've been working on a couple of books and really been blessed to remake myself a little bit and gain some time to really think and plan and learn. In fact, to tell you what's happened with me and our company here at Inside Sales, I had a chance after realizing some of the things that really made us who we are with this time off, forced time off a little bit. I went in one day, probably 6-8 months ago, to Dave Elkington, my business partner, our CEO, and I said, Dave, we have really, we've grown so fast, we've brought in so many people, raised all kinds of money, all that kind of stuff, and it feels like we've forgotten a little bit who we are. And as I've thought about it, I've realized the thing that really made us at Inside Sales is the fact that we really run the numbers and we like to experiment. We love the science of selling. In fact, that's the subtitle of my new book. It's Sales in the Cloud, the Science of Inside Sales and Sales Acceleration. And science is all about testing. And that's really, what we are, Dave. We test everything. We admit we don't know, but we know how to find the answer. It's that discipline that marketers have gotten so good at, called split testing, and that's really who we are. And he got pretty excited. I remember he ran out and he grabbed the development team and the product team and came in and set them all down and said, Ken, tell them what you just told me. And I did, and we all agreed that that's really who we are. In fact, if you look at what we've built our company into, is it's sort of testing in a box, our Neurolytics, predictive analytics engine, predictive cloud. Really, it's nothing more than the science methodology in an automated model using predictive analytics and artificial intelligence. Really cool stuff. But sometimes when you let the black box think for you, you stop doing it yourself. And if you guys remember, some of you may know about the big research study we did with MIT and then Harvard Business Review. Those have been years ago. And so I decided to get back into that with my team here. And we've launched a project we call Inside Sales Labs. And I've committed everybody that we're going to get back into researching and sharing what we know. And when Jamie Shanks heard about it, he asked me if I'd be willing to share some of the things that we do to build scoring mechanisms. Now, this is just a manual version. It's funny, we call it Manualytics. But we're going to show you how to score your own prospect scoring model, and then how to build it into a cadence model. Now, cadence is funny. It's a word that's, we've been doing this. I've been doing cadence for 25 years in selling, and it's gotten really hot again lately, which is exciting because finally the technology's caught up to it, and our new product playbooks is built all around forming a cadence. But just because you have the technology doesn't mean you have the technique, and you got to have the best practices. So here at Inside Sales Labs, we've been doing all kinds of cool research, and I'm going to share some of that with you today about the best kinds of cadence But more than that, how to qualify your prospects there. So let's jump in. We're going to get going. again, here at Inside Sales, we try and test everything. It's just, I sometimes drive our people crazy. I love to test and see what the truth really is behind something. Well, here's a research study that was not done by us, but we quoted a lot. It was done by Serious Decisions and my friends over at CSO Insights, who were just purchased recently, Barry Traylor and Jim Dickey. And this is crazy. You know, they found that 68% of a sales rep's day is spent researching who to call and where they fit in the organization. It's sort of a mapping and profiling exercise, which is now a major subset of account-based sales. 68%, you guys. Well, that means there's got to be a lot of overhead and wasted time in this process. And if we can streamline that research model that an individual rep uses every day, we can have all kinds of new areas of upside and efficiency and effectiveness. So we're going to throw out some ideas, and hopefully it'll be helpful. Let's jump in. First of all, just as an outline for the day, actually for the 25 minutes we're together, is a 5-step Manualytics game plan. Now, everything we do here at Inside Sales, besides science, we're also a bunch of competitive athletic nuts here. I played football and coached football for years, and we found statistically that's the single best predictor of a high-performing salesperson is a background in competitive athletics. And so we call things game plans and plays and series of plays, things like that. So you're going to see we use an athletic sort of sports taxonomy in what we talk about. So our 5 basic steps is first, number 1, profile the target accounts that are the ones you want to go after. We're going to show you how to do that, a couple of good ideas. Then we're going to help you build what we call a buyer's persona matrix, which is how you basically profile your decision makers. Then we're going to give you some ideas on how to build a pathway to power, where you can see those who have authority and those who don't. Then we're going to jump in and give you some basic ideas on how to build a prospect scoring model. Now, this is not lead scoring, which is what the marketers use. This is prospect scoring, which is what sales teams do. We score opportunities, not just the top of funnel leads. And then we're going to help you build and run a Cadence overview. And then we're going to form this into a video-based training model called a game plan. It will be our Manualytics game plan that will allow you to go much deeper. And the director of Inside Sales Labs, Gabe Larson, is going to put this into a much bigger deep dive for you. So this is just a taste today. We only have 20-25 minutes, but we'll give you why you should do it. Gabe is going to show you what to do and how to do it. So you'll have all 3. I've learned, though, if you know the why, you can figure out the what and the how. So let's see if we can help you with that. So right out of the gates, I just want to tell you, nearly 20 years ago, I was taught by the best boss I ever worked for, a guy named Larry McFarland, how to do a target account strategy. And this was here just in Utah County, a little company called Computers Made Easy. We were the Novell Platinum reseller back when Novell was on the map. And we targeted the 7 top accounts here in our area, sort of the enterprise. We went whale fishing, basically. And I remember what we did. This is a whiteboard here. We took those names of those 7 accounts. We wrote them up in the top corner of that whiteboard. We put a big box around it, and we said, do not erase. And a little bit of time every day, every week, we worked toward those 7 accounts. I remember we had to find and map and profile hundreds of people, trying to find the right decision makers, the pathway to power. And there's lots of people who can say no, but only a few who can say yes. And we learned that. But over the course of 1 year, we closed every one of those 7 target accounts. And that shaped the whole course of my sales career. And now we do it on a much larger scale than Utah County. We do it all over the world. But the principles are still the same. So let's talk about targeting accounts. My best recommendation is to start with what you already got. A lot of people don't think about that, but go back and profile the accounts you already have, and mark the great accounts and then mark the bad accounts, the ones that might not be the ones you would have chosen to hold on to if you could have made the decision up front, and see what's different about the two. In fact, I'm going to give you a model here where you can pick 10 data points around the company information and 10 data points around the contact or the decision maker information. And then we're going to actually build a scoring model. It's basic, but it's really powerful, and we jokingly call it MANUALYTICS. So here we go. Once you've got your target accounts defined, and again, I'll get to the data points here in just a minute, then you move to your target contacts. And while this screen is changing here, what we want to teach you how to do is profile what we call your buyer's persona matrix. And the buyer's persona matrix is, let's see, skip the slide there. Let me go back to that. So before I, so what we're going to do is your buyer's persona matrix is, again, the rows in the matrix are the title levels, the columns are the title functions, and when you're done, we're going to build a table, a matrix, where you can know what the needs are, the opinions, attitudes, and interests of the different buyer personas that you're going to be dealing with. Now, we're going to show you ours. You're going to have to build your own. But before we go any further, I wanted to quickly define what account-based sales is, because a buyer's persona matrix is applicable in an account-based sales model. It's not quite as applicable in a high-velocity sales model, although it still has some value. But the definition of account-based sales, this is one we've thought about. It's actually simpler than we ever imagined. It's really basic. Account-based sales is sales strategy for multiple decision makers in a single account. So if you've been out on the website and shopped on Amazon, it adjusts its offering on the homepage of Amazon to your buying needs. Well, salespeople got to go do that basic same kind of thing and adjust to the specific needs of every buyer persona involved in the decision process. And there's been some research done recently by my friends at Corporate Executive Board, Matt Dixon and those great folks up there, that have shown we can really make this a science. Now, what's the difference between art and science? Art is what you can create with your own talent and skill. It's subjective to you. And science is objective. It's data-driven. It uses the scientific method. Now, a lot of people say they're doing science. They're usually doing art. Even if you test just a few things and don't make it statistically significant, folks, you're still doing art. Now, art's a good thing. You start with art, but you want to move to science so that you can improve your efficiencies and effectiveness. And so this research study was published in Harvard Business Review, again, done by Corporate Executive Board. I'd really recommend that you look into the full study. The article that's published on it was Making the Consensus Sale. And what they found in conjunction with Matista in 2012 was that on average there's 5.4 decision makers in the average decision process. Now, there's some other really good data points. I don't have time to go into it, but look up the study, check it out. They find that a single decision maker has some simple approaches, but as soon as you move to two, it gets way more difficult from there. And the average number of buyers involved together in the same decision process is 5.4. So remember that stat. That means you got to know. I don't know how you sell to a 0.4 of a person. So you gotta be targeting 6 different decision makers and know what their needs are, and then know which one of them have the power and which of them just have the ability to tell you no. And you got to be good at handling all of that. So once you know the buyer personas, then you got to find the pathway to power and know where the 80-20 rule has its best effect. Now, this was a research study that is just coming out next week. I'm flying to Dublin and London all next 2 weeks or so. In fact, I leave tomorrow morning. And we're doing a full-day boot camp, and we're releasing this research study at the AAISP World Conference in Dublin. We're pretty excited about that. It's the second research study we've done under Inside Sales Labs, and this one's done in conjunction with Empath. My friend Neil Rich has researched 623 million online data points. And he's a lot like the NSA, where he's like that voice on the web, looking for the person of interest. But his incredible infrastructure allows him to use algorithms and online listening devices to look at messaging from hundreds of millions of messages going through. And then he can pick out the different personas and find out their attitudes, opinions, and interests. And this is what this study's done that's so powerful. We've actually been able to tell you now what the main problems are that people of different title functions and title levels feel and worry about all the time. So here it is, you guys. This matrix, it's a little bit hard to see. It's so small right here because there's a lot of data. But notice that the title levels start all the way up at the C-suite, EVP, VP, Director, Manager, Staff, and Sales. Now, people always ask me, what is staff? Staff would be the people that support the rest of the infrastructure. But notice the first column is the general, specific, generic attitudes, opinions, and interests of just those title levels. And then the different columns, those are the title functions, or in other words, the departments of the company. What does finance care about? What is the technology department, sales ops, inside sales, sales, client services, marketing, and biz dev? And by biz dev, we really mean sales development. This is a gold mine, you guys, because you can print this matrix, have it sitting there on the wall while you're calling, and you can adjust to the needs of the different title functions, title levels that you're talking to, and be just like that Amazon website where you're relevant and specific to the needs of those people. Now, that's not always a good thing, according to the latest research of Corporate Executive Board. And they've got a brand new book you've got to check out. I helped on the process of, they flew me out, and we spent a day and a half going clear through it as on an advisory board. It's called The Challenger Customer. And what they've shown there, guys, is you've got to be really good at not making everybody think they have completely different needs. You got to help them realize they've got one or two main overarching needs that they all need to pull together and unify around, or you're not going to get the sale. So while you're addressing the pains of the individual, you got to help them see the bigger overarching pain of the organization, and that's absolutely mission critical. So, buyer persona matrix. Look for the research study coming out next week. In fact, we'll if you're interested, I'll give you some contact information at the end of the presentation. You can get your own copy of this because you're going to want to have it. It's gold. Probably one of the coolest things we've done in years. All right, let's talk about the how to qualify these decision makers and find the pathway to power. Now that's where the gold is, as I've mentioned. My friend Josiane Fagan, her great book talks about no-pos, people with no-po. That's no power. And without any power, they can't make decisions, and you don't get a PO. So research done last year by Inside Sales Labs and showed that your very best prospects in a continuum are 10 times more likely to close than your worst prospects in the same list on average, 10x. So you're going to be wasting a lot of time if you spend your time equally working with all of them. And this is what a lot of sales reps do, is they just call everybody, spend the same amount of time. And the biggest mistake you can make in Cadence is to spend the same number of attempts on everybody. Oh my gosh, that's what this would look like. The gray chart in the back would be the close rate, and the green is how much time you spend. And this is what most sales organizations do, is they just do it equally. Well, this next chart is how you should do it, where you align your effort with your best prospects. And instead of making, the same amount of calls for all of them, put the effort in where the gold is. That's where you should be focusing. And it seems so basic, such common sense, but it's not common practice. So hang with me, and we're going to give you some ideas of what you can do to do that. Now, I'm really excited about this next part because with help from Trish Bertuzzi and Steve Richards and others years ago, this was 2013, we heard that BANT, which was the qualification methodology defined by IBM clear back in the 60s, it's been around for, oh my gosh, 55 years, you guys, is gotten archaic. It stands for budget, authority, need, and timing. And so we rolled out a new approach to qualification. We called it ANUM, but we even recommended a newer version, which is just the first two, AN, which is authority and need. And our friends at Topo have done a research study where they compared those three models. And I wanted to watch. This is a really cool slide. Make sure you spend some time looking over this slide here. It's taking a minute to form, but in fact, taking more than a minute to form. Let's see what we got here. Okay, here we go. Sorry, back up. Okay, there we go. This is sales development rep use of BANT, ANUM, and AN. And notice Topo, this is the research study up at the far right. Topo compared those three models. At the bottom, you can see the numbers right along the bottom of what percentage of people use them. 27% use BANT, 35.1% use ANUM, 38% use AN, just authority and need. And for inbound, AN, the authority and need model, is 14% better than BANT. But the big one is outbound, which is the primary model for account-based sales, is 120% better, you guys. Oh my heavens, 120% better. And then even the hybrid where you blend the two, it's still 18% better. So I think we were, and we did this based on research, but we were spot on this one. And let me tell you, especially for sales development, you need to be starting with authority and moving to need. That's where the gold is, especially going outbound. So how do you do that? I've got to pick up speed here. I'm getting too excited, I take too long, trying to give too much data here. But on a pathway to power, there's all kinds of decision makers. We did this research project. Again, this is for our decision makers. We compared neurolytics for each of the titles that I just shared with you. And we found, you can see it there, the VP Sales Ops is the champion, and that's where we start. We move to the influencer, the demand gen VP, and then we go to the sales director, and then we end up with VP Sales. That's our pathway to power. Those are the people who can facilitate a yes. The green titles are those who can facilitate a no. So you got to be good at working with both, but frankly, 20% of your time is with the no's, making sure they don't say no, but 80% is with the yeses to make a sale. So that's the model for building a pathway to power. You got to do that yourself and see who's involved in your decision process and how do you navigate that to a good outcome. Well, let's talk about how to build your prospect scoring model now. We're coming in the home stretch here. I got to move quick because I'm taking too much time. I get too excited. Sorry. All right. So in terms of a scoring model, what we do is we ask 10 questions. Now, these are our 10 questions, but I'll bet you they're quite relevant to you and yours as well. Again, the slides are taking a little while to get up and running here. There we go. Okay. Company data points. And it looks like the slide wrapped on me here, but these are the 10 basic questions that we ask when we build a manual scoring model internally. Now, I built this with one of our internal math gurus almost 3 years ago, and when we first launched it, it was the strongest scoring model we did. What we did is we gave 50 points for the company scoring. We would give points for each of the 10 questions, and then add them up. Now you can weight them. For us, the ones up top, numbers 1, might be worth 10 points. All the way down the bottom might be just worth 2 or 3. But then you can get a score from 0 to 50 on your company data. And then the next one is your contact data. And you do the same thing there. You give a score from 0 to 50 for each of these. Again, I apologize on number 5 there that it tabbed over just a little bit. We needed to check that. But your contact data, these are the data points that make sense there. Now what we found is about 7 of these 20 questions, you can get the data appended before you ever even call it through your marketing department. And about 6 or 7 of the data points you can gather during the SDR function, and that leaves about 6 or 7 data points that your sales reps need to ask to get a full score of the qualification of this. But that's a whole lot better than 20, playing 20 questions. Well, your sales reps only have to ask about 6 or 7 of the total questions to do a full statistical qualification strategy. And this is what we call neurolytics. You can actually build these into Salesforce, for example, and have them build a scoring mechanism automatically. It'll get you started. Now, we love helping people start with neurolytics because it makes sure that their predictive data is way better for us as well. So whether you use neurolytics or not, this is a great way to get started and start improving an objective scoring model for your prospects. All right. So I got to go a little bit faster. I've got some fun data points here, then we'll be done. So again, MANUALYTICS, that's what we just talked about. Neurolytics, that's what we can take you to when you move far beyond just 20 data points. When you get into hundreds and thousands, the scoring models that predictive analytics can offer are gigantic. Well, let's jump into the Cadence now, then we'll be done. I'm a few minutes over, but hey, if you want the information, stay on. If you don't, maybe you can watch it later. Here's the definition of Cadence. It's a sequence of sales plays to optimize contact and qualification ratios. Pretty basic, but this research came from Gartner. It was published in Harvard Business Review, and they were asking what are the most influential B2B marketing activities. And look at the top one there, guys. It's a sales strategy. It's direct interaction with the provider. And then the second one was checking references. But there's nothing that can replace just interacting with your prospects if you want to get sales in the door. All right, so let's talk about, again, we've mapped over 3,000 different sales processes with our neurolytics. So what we're talking about is highly researched. Our biggest research today with Harvard Business Review had over 100,000 phone calls we've recently been mapping out our top cadences with over 1 million data points. I'm giving you a sneak preview right now of a study that's coming out here shortly. It's going to be a big one. We think it will be on par with our MIT research that we did. And this one's around cadence, the golden cadence strategy. And what we did in this little piece here is we investigated 1,700 different sequences of cadence. That's how many we found in other words, it might be a call, email, a call, email, call, voicemail, email, call, whatever. But and then we scored them from 0 to 100. And the average, the most common cadence was a single phone call, a dial. And that was actually pretty good. That was scored at a 22. But when we found the top cadence, the golden cadence, and I can't tell you what it is right now because I'd give away the whole research study, but I can tell you that it was about 6 to 7 sequences, and it was rated at a 94. That's 4 to 5 times more effective by using the optimal cadence. So that's how much power is involved in a cadence strategy. You can get 4 to 5x the result if you use the optimal cadence. And just to show you how powerful just a single data point was, we asked the question, when should you call and what time should you call, and what phone line should you use when you call? And we found 110% difference between the best time and phone line and the worst. And that was just a single phone call. 110% lift with knowing the right time and type of line to call on. Oh my gosh, guys. So this cadence is a big deal. I mean, sales training itself only gives you about a 22% lift. This is 5 times better than sales training. That's how much impact the right cadence can offer. Okay, so let's keep going. I gotta hurry. I know I'm not moving fast enough here, so I don't have time to go deep into all these. But Gabe Larson will in our game plan that we'll be filming and making available. The basic 5 steps are: number 1, form the game plan, which is your strategy. Know your own position specifically and your role. Include your target position, meaning the title level, title function, and then form your sequence, how many steps you're going to take, and what are the plays that you run at each level of sequence. It's showing I'm just about out of time. I'm right down to the end here. A couple more fun data points and I'll be done. I wish I had time for questions. So this one was big. This was in the same research study done just late last year. The average decision maker is attempted 4.5 times across all forms of media on average before people give up in their cadence. Now we have found for us, this is just for us, that it takes 18.5 attempts on average before a decision maker is both contacted and qualified into the decision funnel. And that was about 6.5 web interactions, 6 phone calls, and 6 emails. Now, we weren't tracking social media at the time. We've since found that social is right up there with the rest of it. So I'm going to end with what we have found to be what we call the foundational cadence. Again, 4.5 is what the average is. What we have found is, and we recommend, that you make 3 phone calls, 3 voicemails, 3 emails, and 3 social interactions. A 3 by 3 by 3 by 3. So that's 12 interactions, you guys, with 4 media. And there's some sequencing and things involved that we're going to be sharing with this research when it comes out. But that'll get you started. And once again, cadence is a big deal. Content is a big deal. Context is a big deal. And we're going to be showing how those 3 work together. So we're going to be making available that empath research study next week. So please reach out. We'll get you a copy of it. This is my contact information. Really appreciate spending time here with Digital Sales Engine today. I hope you've enjoyed all the conferences, all the webinars, and I'd love to hear from you. Please reach out. I'm trying to get going on my Forbes articles again. My old brain's starting to work again, and so hopefully you'll see some articles starting to come. And my book is getting close. It's like running a marathon, but I'm not giving up. We're going to get it done. So anyway, connect on LinkedIn and feel free to email me if you'd like a copy of that research study. Thanks again, everybody. Thanks, Jamie and the team at Sales for Life for inviting me. I appreciate being a part of this great event, and hope to be involved again next time.
In 2014, we were looking at our growth rate, and we realized that most of our new customers, new clients were coming from inbound opportunities, whether they be returning clients or referrals, and we were entering into an expansion mode, and we wanted to figure out a way to help our outbound sales team find more deals faster and more economically.
As we grow, we need a platform and a solution that will grow with our own efforts. And we also believe that the sales industry is ripe for the technology that InsideSales.com provides.
So we thought that Inside Sales would be a good platform to help us do that. Things like local presence we thought would increase our connection rate. We thought that gamification would help us lift our dial count and ultimately lead to more closed business.
One of the primary benefits we've received is that there are only so many hours in the day, so many minutes in the hours. If you've got an outbound sales team, their ability to get business done and close business needs to be accelerated, which is what we've been able to do with the platform. Our sales team has been able to improve their effectiveness, specifically around being able to get into more conversations, which essentially will lead to deals being pushed farther down the funnel, which we've determined and we've seen allows for a higher close rate.
Within a month of implementing the technology, we saw our dial count lift by 83%, our connection conversation per prospect rate increased by over 200%, and our revenue grow by 208%.